The 49ers are about to be back at full strength. Trent Williams, I mean, he's the master of drama regarding contractual resolutions in the middle of the night. Well, we got some news over the middle of the night, and he is very, very close to finalizing an extension with San Francisco, and the holdout has already ended. Trent Williams en route back to the Bay Area. He's going to be at practice this week, and I've just been in contact with Trent Williams' agency, and they told me that details will be announced shortly of Trent Williams' contract renegotiation with the 49ers. This has been all training camp coming. We first found out about the holdout on the first day of training camp, and now we're sitting here on September 3rd, the day after Labor Day, and possibly the best player in the NFL, Trent Williams, is going to be returning to the 49ers facility, and he should be in the lineup week 1 against the New York Jets. That is less than a week from today. I talk about Trent Williams and nighttime drama. Well, you could take a look at this. This is what many people woke up to. Some people who are night owls fell asleep to. But this is from Trent Williams' brother, Fred Williams. Year 15, let's get it. That's Trent Williams' custom private jet right behind him. So obviously he was in transit somewhere. It turns out he's in transit to the Bay Area for year 15. There was another Instagram story post that featured a lot of dollar signs. One of the emojis with the face and the dollar sign. So people were able to put 2 and 2 together. Trent Williams was at least getting closer to contract resolution with the 49ers. And now we can talk about what the structure might look like. I can share with you, Trent Williams' agency just got back to me. They said details to be announced. I asked if they're still ironing out a few things, and they said, hello, yes, details to be announced. So that's going to be coming up very, very shortly, but we can confirm it directly from Trent Williams' agent. We can also confirm it directly here on The Athletic. Diana Rossini led a reporting this morning. Trent Williams ending his holdout, finalizing new deal with the 49ers. Just like it was with the Brandon Aiyuk situation, the 49ers were really intent on finding a win-win structure. They're trying to button up the win-win structure right now with Trent Williams, but we can go back and we could look at the Christian McCaffrey contract. And by the way, good news for the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey is going to return to practice today from his calf strain. We can go back to the Christian McCaffrey contract for the 49ers and look at how they might structure this Trent Williams deal, because McCaffrey was in a very similar situation as Trent Williams in that he still had years left on his contract, but he wanted a new deal, and the 49ers were able to reward him with a new deal that subsequently lowered Christian McCaffrey's short-term salary cap number. So here you go. McCaffrey and his extension added void years all the way to 2030. Gave him a new signing bonus, and then gave him a couple of new guaranteed option bonuses. By rule, those option bonuses are prorated against the salary cap, which means they're stretched out against the cap into future seasons. So all of the guaranteed money in Christian McCaffrey's new deal is shaded in a color right here. And this is how the 49ers were able to generate win-win structure potential for a win-win structure of Christian McCaffrey, and this is how they have win-win structure potential for Trent Williams. They can do something similar because Williams didn't have any guaranteed money left on his deal. It was essentially 3 years remaining at about $25 million a year. Well, if they can up that amount for Trent Williams to about $28 million per year, he'd be the top paid tackle in the league. I think Wirfs and Penei Sewell are number 1 and number 2 right now. Williams had dropped down to about number 5. So you add on a little bit more money. But the main thing about the Williams existing deal, until this new one is signed, sealed, and delivered, and it's getting really, really close to that, is that there's no guaranteed money left in the final 3 years. Now, we can't use this Christian McCaffrey contract as the end-all, be-all template for Trent Williams' contract because Trent is 36 years old. And that means that he can credibly threaten to retire. He'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer in 5 years, no matter what he did right now. So, because of the ability of Trent Williams to walk away, credibly threaten to retire right now, the 49ers have to be very careful with how they structure a deal for him, how they structure any guaranteed money coming his way, because there is a non-zero chance, and I think it's probably higher than a 10% chance that Trent Williams walks away after just this season. And if you decide to give a player guaranteed money like they gave Christian McCaffrey in this example right here, and you stretch it out really far into the future. So you could see with McCaffrey, for example, we don't have the Williams details yet. So this is why I'm using Christian McCaffrey to illustrate something. Say that you give the guaranteed money in the same kind of fashion, though, and it stretches out to 2028 with one of the bonuses and 2029 with the other one of the bonuses and 2030 with a third bonus. Well, the problem is that if he retires after 2024, if Trent Williams retires early, then all of the money that is shaded here that's guaranteed has to accelerate and hit the salary cap at once. It can't keep on stretching out to 2030 if he retires. So that would be a massive dead money hit hitting the 49ers books all at once in the 2025 season, right when they're trying to pay Brock Purdy. So that's why they have to be very careful with how they manage the books in this Trent Williams situation. And that's why they're trying to look for that win-win structure. Because yes, they can actually lower the cap hit now, as you can see here with McCaffrey. They lowered his cap hit to $6.7 million. Hell, we can go to Brandon Aiyuk's contract. I just did the contract analysis for Aiyuk a couple days ago. And if we go to Brandon Aiyuk's contract, then we will see that the 49ers were able to lower his cap hit in the short term significantly. And I'll explain how cap carryover works here in a second. But in the case of Aiyuk, look at the headline of my article. I think this was on Saturday morning. Brandon Aiyuk contract, how the 49ers deal with the star wide receiver impacts Trent Williams and Brock Purdy. My point was that the way that the 49ers structured Aiyuk actually opened room to get the Trent Williams deal done. How? Well, Williams is going to be playing most of his football, if not all of his remaining football, in the short term. Here's Aiyuk's new contract. You could see they used the staggered bonus that we saw in McCaffrey's contract, and we might see in Williams' contract, although it's probably going to be a little bit different because of the fact that he is 36 years old and they have to guard themselves against the potential retirement. But Aiyuk's previous cap hit was $14.1 million for the 2020 season. They were able to lower that to $5.7 million this year, $11.9 million next year, and $16.2 million in 2026. They don't see the major cap damage until 2027 and beyond. But the thing about this is that, and the 49ers just executed a restructure on Malik Collins' contract to open up about $5 million of space. They didn't need the space for Trent Williams. They have like, I think, $50 million in space now. They have a lot of salary cap space in this 2024 season. That's going to be wide open after all these restructures. The Trent Williams deal is going to open up more. Don't quote me on that number, by the way. I have it up on my salary cap sheet so I can find it. But basically, it's more space than they need to execute any singular piece of business. But the way that this stuff works is the unused salary cap space from 2024 is going to carry over into 2025. You can get the sheet open right now and we'll have a better idea of where the 49ers are. Somebody said 50 million, but yeah, it's not going to be that high. That was a spot track, and I don't think they had adjusted Trent Williams' contract yet at the time when they reported about Malik Collins' restructure. So here we have 24.3 million. Still a lot of space open this year. Malik Collins' restructure will push that to about 30 million of space. And then Trent Williams' restructure is going to open up even more space. As you can see here, his hit as it stands on the existing deal is 31.6 million. Again, I don't know exactly how they're going to structure this. I'll wait to see how they do structure it, but I think it's going to go down from 31.6 million to something in the 20s in all likelihood. Who knows? Maybe even something in the teens. In that case, you'll get up to about 40 million in salary cap space. But the carryover is key to look at, because you go to 2025 and the 49ers only have 11.4 million on a projected 280 million cap. And that's when you have to pay Brock Purdy, that's when, yeah, I mean, you still have to pay a lot of guys to field a team in 2025. The 49ers are at 32 players right now under contract for that season. So this is what we call flow control. The 49ers, I use this analogy all the time. I think it's the best one for the situation. Every single season is a sink, and you can't let that sink overflow. Expenditures like new contracts are, water coming through the faucet. Obviously, a lot of water through the faucet threatens to make the sink overflow. But the good news is you have a drain on every single season, and that drain leads to a pipe that leads to other sinks, and you can drain some of the water out of each subsequent season using restructures like the one that Trent Williams is about to get a restructure that includes a pay raise, but it still can be a restructure in that the 49ers can convert some salary into a guaranteed signing bonus. And that means that the cap hit is going to prorate over the course of future seasons. And when that happens, when the proration works like this, you get your accordion style structure. As you could see, it stretches out the color coding into future seasons. That means that water is flowing into those future years. So it's essentially flow control for the 49ers, where they can balance out the sinks, not just in 2024, but in future years. Now, the money can never get too big, and you can't risk having a flood in 2025 if this is what Trent Williams' restructure looks like, and then he retires, and then all the money floods forward from these color-coded stretch lines into the present day. That's when the 49ers can start getting in trouble, which is why I'm really, really curious about the structure of this Trent Williams deal. They had to thread a needle here to make Trent happy. He obviously had a lot of leverage in this situation, a lot more than Brandon Aiyuk did. I think the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk's leverage was lesser than the 49ers leverage, which is why I think, he ultimately took the deal that had been on the table since August 12th. But, when I outlined my Brandon Aiyuk possibilities at the start of training camp, I had three possibilities. I had 49ers can just engage in a stare down and not budge at all with Brandon Aiyuk because they ultimately had more of the leverage. So he probably would have to report to camp. Or they could have, executed something where they did give a little bit in exchange for Brandon Aiyuk showing up earlier to not risk that whole situation bleeding over into the regular season. So in that way, Aiyuk obviously had a little bit of leverage. The 49ers owned the majority of it, but the 49ers found a common sense solution with Brandon Aiyuk that, I think rewarded him with a little bit more guaranteed money, which also, by the way, was a win-win for the 49ers because it helped them spread the money into the future through the proration structure. And they got him into the building sooner. Everybody ended up happy. I called it a win-win. The Trent Williams situation, I wonder if the 49ers can get it into the similar needle threading position that they did with Brandon Aiyuk. And the principles are going to remain the same. Guaranteed money is going to be prorated. Salary cap hit can lower now. When the salary cap hit does lower now, you can transfer the unused space into the future. It's like a zero interest loan because, again, with the flow control, the salary cap is actually increasing every single season. 49ers are banking on it to continue doing that. So you'd rather have free cap space now because those cap dollars are more valuable right now with a lower salary cap than it will be in 2025 and 2026. So it's complex business. Williams had the leverage against the 49ers, I think, to a greater degree than Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk was in a situation where, they need their top receiver to be the best team possible. But I don't think they needed their top receiver to survive on a week-to-week basis, especially early in the season. They probably could have continued staring down Brandon Aiyuk at a really, significantly lower price than the one that they found. And knowing that they already had him under contract and they probably would have been okay. I think Trent Williams moves into the Nick Bosa category where you're not going to be okay for any extended period of time without Trent Williams. You saw those 3 games without him last year. It was tough sledding for the 49ers. So he had I'm altering the deal, pray that I do not alter it any further leverage on his side. The 49ers had to get this done. In the case of Aiyuk, they wanted to be at full strength, so they absolutely were able to shift a little bit to get Aiyuk into the building now. But it was important that they got Williams done. Probably more important, I think that the most important thing is the 49ers now have both of these finished. and in the rear view mirror. So again, the 49ers and Trent Williams are finalizing a new contract, and I'm going to talk a little about the penchant for nighttime drama that we've gotten from Trent Williams when it regards these contract extensions. It was, what are we in now? 2024. So we go back in 3 years, we go back to 2021 in the offseason. And we got this. Trent Williams, Alex Mack, and reliving the Instagram flurry of a night as the 49ers rebuilt their offensive line. It was 12:24 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, March 17th, when Trent Williams made the first of 2 grand Instagram reveals in a transformative night for the 49ers offensive line. So Williams hinted on that night, March 17th, 2021, right before I went to bed, I got a text from Richard Sherman saying, hey, you should probably check out Trent's Instagram. And I did. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not sleeping tonight because not only he signed with the 49ers that night, but then Alex Mack also agreed to terms with the 49ers, maybe in the very early hours of the morning, but it didn't make a difference to me because I was exhausted by that point. So Williams has a way of taking to social media in the middle of the night to announce new deals with the 49ers. And it was his brother, so it must run in the family. It was his brother who posted the hint this time around. Fast forward from this 2021 to this in 2024. That's Trent Williams by his private jet. Year 15, let's get it. That was our first hint. And then about an hour from that point, after I saw this, we had this up on The Athletic because we had more information. Trent Williams ending his holdout, finalizing a new deal with the 49ers. Again, money not yet available, but the deal is being finalized. I heard from Trent Williams' agency. I confirmed with them that details will be announced probably shortly, but they are finalizing this contract with Trent Williams. Enough for him, apparently, to end the holdout. Trent Williams is going to be back in the building this week. The 49ers have a bonus practice today on Tuesday. Then they have a day off on Wednesday. And because it's a Monday night game, they practice Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So practice stretches out into the weekend. Day off or walkthrough day, but no media availability on Sunday, followed by Monday Night Football to open the season against the New York Jets on Monday. Well, obviously Monday Night Football is going to be on Monday. Although I think during that 2020 season, they had Monday Night Football on weird nights because they had to reschedule games. This time, though, Monday Night Football will be indeed on Monday. Trent Williams should be back in the lineup. Brock Purdy was going to have his best offensive lineman. We could talk about how important this is to the 49ers from a structural standpoint offensively. This was already the number 1 offense in football last year, by a lot, actually. This was an excellent offense. So you want to return the pieces that made it that way. They will now be fielding 10 of 11 2023 starters in the 2024 season opener, with the only starter not taking the field as part of the starting lineup being the right guard, the guy who scored the most poorly in that lineup last year, Spencer Burford. Dominic Pooney, the rookie, is going to be taking Burford's spot at right guard. But last year, the 49ers did not have a good pass-protecting offensive line. Trent Williams is the best offensive lineman in the league and definitely the best offensive lineman on the 49ers. They ranked number 21 in pass block win rate last year. Trent Williams is also a monster in the run game, but he was a top 5 pass protector. So if you think that the rest of the line was bad enough to rank number 21 overall in pass block win rate, you really want Trent Williams on that left side. We can look at what the roster is like for San Francisco right now as well. And I'm going to move Trent Williams off of the reserve list, but they're going to have to make a roster move. For some reason, I can't find the roster, but that's okay because I have the salary cap sheet here and I have a link to the roster on the salary cap sheet. Here we go. 49ers 90-man depth chart. Yesterday, San Francisco signed Brandon Parker, who was with the team in training camp. They released him on cutdown day, but Brandon Parker is now part of the 49ers again. That was, I think, just in case this Trent Williams deal didn't work out. This obviously, that fear is something that won't come to fruition now. Trent Williams is going to be back, but as of right now, officially, the 49ers have Jalen Moore at left tackle, Colton McKivitz at right tackle, and the former Raiders third-round draft pick Brandon Parker as their backup tackle. I would say swing tackle. They're cross-training him during training camp. He was doing some work at right tackle as well, but I have him listed there as the backup left tackle because that's where the 49ers are a little bit thin right now before Trent Williams comes back into the building. I have Trent Williams on the reserve list because he did not report, but we can take Williams off of that reserve list and we can slide him in here into Jalen Moore's spot. So what we'll do is we'll make Jalen Moore the backup left tackle. That's how I expect the depth chart to look for the game against the Jets. And since Brandon Parker is technically now on the 53-man roster, we have to put him somewhere. So we'll put him as backup right tackle. Remember, he did get that cross-training over the course of training camp. And the 49ers are at 54 players. The question is, who do they move to either, well, I mean, they could move somebody to IR or they could cut somebody and then try to re-sign them to the practice squad. What move do they make to get under the 53-man limit? The other update today is that Christian McCaffrey is going to return to practice, so we can actually take Christian McCaffrey off of injury shading here. Aaron Banks is supposed to return to practice as well today. So I'm going to take him off of injury shading coming back from the broken pinky. So as you can see here, the 49ers offense does not have anybody listed with injury if we see the developments that we expect to happen with Aaron Banks happen today. Ricky Pearsall, after the shooting on Saturday, is on the non-football injury list now. So he's not taking up a roster spot. That means he's going to miss at least the first 4 games. On the defensive side of the ball, maybe today we get a clue on Yetur Gross-Matos. He's coming back from a knee injury, but I'm not sure if he's going to be back for week 1. It was week to week following the Raiders game. Maybe an update on D. Winters coming back from the ankle injury for the 49ers. So roster is definitely healing up for San Francisco, and it's getting stronger, much stronger with Trent Williams and Brandon Aiyuk both in the building. 49ers now looking very, very close to full strength. Not at full strength, but this is as good as it's been for San Francisco, and the regular season opener is less than a week away. So important timing for the 49ers to be getting this right. Anyway, you want Trent Williams there for the run game. You want him there to bolster the pass protection. There are things that he can do on the field that no other man in the NFL can do. You've got defensive backs making business decisions when Trent Williams is running them down an open field. And I think I just want people to conceptualize how impressive some of this tape is from Trent Williams, because this is one of the greatest players in NFL history. I mean, he's going to go down as a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure if we've ever seen somebody as big as Trent Williams, 320 plus pounds, move like a wide receiver. That's essentially what you have. It's why these defensive backs can't get out of his way. I mean, he's quicker than a lot of these DBs. It's crazy. So in Jacksonville was the famous business decision last year, but there's so many other great examples of Trent Williams taking on much smaller, supposedly more agile defensive backs on the second level and absolutely taking care of them. And then he's big enough to have that anchor and pass protection, which is really important because I do think the 49ers are going to be throwing the football more this year with Brock Purdy at quarterback. We already saw 109 pass plays versus only 77 run plays called in the playoffs last season. I think that was a bellwether. What's to come? Kyle Shanahan trusts Purdy a lot, but he's also got to trust the pass protection in front of him. And, both Trent Williams and Brandon Aiyuk, their returns will make the 49ers pass protection better. Williams because he actually blocks in the pass game, but Brandon Aiyuk because he separates in the pass game. And the more separation you have from your wide receivers, the quicker Brock Purdy can get the football out. So all the weapons on this loaded 49ers offense have specific roles. Those roles and those jobs that were executed last year allowed this offense to surge to number 1 in the NFL. Brock Purdy to be the most efficient passer in the league. I mean, any metric that you looked at, the 49ers were at the top of it. They are now armed with, you look at the entire arsenal for San Francisco, and I could go back to the depth chart right here, is very, very good. Potentially even better than last year. As you can see, the green shade is Dominic Pooney. He's the only new starter for San Francisco because tight end 2 is technically not a starting spot. But there's a chance they're better at tight end as well with Eric Saubert this year instead of Charlie Werner, who only had 11 catches in those 4 years. So Pooney replaces Burford at right guard. Feliciano's currently hurt. Saubert steps in for Charlie Werner. 49ers return all their receivers. They're adding Jacob Cowing into the mix. Hopefully we get to see Ricky Pearsall at some point later this season. He'll be out for at least the first 4 games. The running back room might be even better too, because you're adding a weapon like Isaac Guerrero. I think they're probably, I mean, it's hard to say they're better at backup quarterback because Sam Darnold was a really good backup for the 49ers last year, but they're happy to have Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen both aboard. And then, of course, you've got the offensive line, which now is Williams. You would hope if you're the 49ers that McKivitz gets better in year 2, that Pooney can help a boost on the right side with how good he's been in training camp. Will continue to say I think the biggest issue, the biggest question mark on this roster is the center position, with Jake Brendel dealing with a knee tendonitis. Nick Zakel, not a lot of experience behind him. But anyway, good news for the 49ers this morning. Trent Williams is ending his holdout, and he is finalizing a new contract with San Francisco. We've got the article up on The Athletic. I've since heard from Williams' agency. They say details are coming here at some point, so we'll be waiting for those details from the agency. I've given you the salary cap situation of the 49ers entering this deal. We do not have the numbers yet, but in the spirit of Christian McCaffrey returning to practice today, we can look at what the 49ers have been able to do with contracts before this one. And why don't we look at Brandon Aiyuk's? I already showed McCaffrey's contract. Brandon Aiyuk's looks like this: staggered bonus structure, push money into the future, surf the wave of the rising salary cap. I think the 49ers can do something really similar with Trent Williams, although they're going to have to be more careful because he's 36 and there's a chance that he might retire. I think that was one of the reasons why it was tougher to thread this needle. The 49ers pay guys. They're really good at the business aspect of this. So I don't want to hear any more about them, not being able to get business done. They've gotten more business done than any other team in the league since Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over. This is going to be another mega deal. It might rank number 1 of tackles again after they rewarded Trent Williams that way in 2021. This would mark the 10th positional record contract that the 49ers have given out over the Lynch Shanahan era, which is a staggering number. The fact they've been able to fit all of these contracts under the roof of one salary cap, I think, is absolutely phenomenal work. I just don't think that's objectively phenomenal work. There's a reason why they've been able to have so much success over the course of the past 5 years, hitting up the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl in 4 of those 5 years. Now what's left is the 49ers need to kick the door down and win the Super Bowl. But they're at full strength. They have the roster that they need to do it. They'll hope for a Ricky Pearsall reinforcement at some point over the course of this season. He's going to be out for the first 4 weeks, but they've layered depth upon depth upon depth. They've got a ton of talent. They've got a good look at, the front end talent is obviously really good, but a really good looking rookie class as well. Every player here shaded in green is a rookie, and you've got a lot of rookies on the 53-man roster, 6 of them for the 49ers, with Pearsall on that NFI list. So things really are looking up for the 49ers here with less than a week to go before the season opener. I can answer a couple questions, then I'm hungry. Then I got to get going. I got to eat some breakfast. It's been a busy morning, that's for sure. We'll open it up to 49ers Q&A. Braden thinks that Trent Williams will miss a few games. I highly, highly doubt it. I think he'll be back out there Monday. I mean, it's Trent Williams. He's been working out, but this is a walking first ballot Hall of Famer. He's about to sign for what I think will be record money. He's not about to miss games after signing for record money. There's a reason why the deadline was like now. Was okay, he's got to get out there, build a little bit of a callus. Nick Bosa signed later than this. Nick Bosa signed, I believe, on the Wednesday or Thursday of last year ahead of a Sunday game. So Trent Williams is about a day or two earlier relatively than Nick Bosa. I highly doubt he will miss games. I definitely would not say 100% he's going to miss some time. I don't think the 49ers are in a cap nightmare next year. I think the 49ers have managed to successfully, I mean, this is the question, how much of a cap nightmare are the 49ers in? They're threading the needle. They have a formula. The formula is to pay A-list players with money that stretches into the future, like this Brandon Aiyuk contract, and surf the wave of a rising salary cap. And the way that the sink doesn't overflow is, A, you surf the wave of the rising cap with a flow control, but you also don't re-sign players who are not A-listers. Trent Williams is an A-lister. Brandon Aiyuk is an A-lister. You keep that A-list core growing. It can grow from year to year, and they've got, probably 8 guys in that A-list core now. But if you don't pay the B-listers, because that's where you're not going to get the bang for your buck, that's where it's going to turn into cap hell. As long as the 49ers can replace the B-list players with draftees on rookie contracts that are not overly pricey, and look at all the green here. Those are rookies who are on the 53-man roster. As long as they could do that, they could surf this wave indefinitely. And it was really, really important for the purposes of this happening to avoid the cap hell. It was really important for the 49ers to hit on this draft class. I don't know if they've hit on this draft class yet, but I think the signs are extremely promising between Isaac Guerendo, Jacob Cowing, Dominic Pooney, Tatum Bethune, Renardo Green, and Malik Mustafa, all of whom have a chance to be active week 1. I mean, those are all draftees from this past season. I think that's a really, really good start for the 49ers. We have a similar question here. Appreciate it. How will it affect the cap going into next year? Like I just said, I think that this is fine for the cap as long as the 49ers continue getting efficiency out of their A-list players and they don't pay the B-listers too much money. They can continue kicking cap hits down the road because it's like a zero-interest loan. It's not damaging to do that if the salary cap continues increasing. The 49ers, by the way, they also did restructure Malik Collins' contract today. Let me read off a couple details for you there before I get going here. The Malik Collins deal for San Francisco converted $6.79 million of his 2024 salary into signing bonus, added 3 void years. So they freed up $5.432 million of cap space for the upcoming season, which they'll be able to carry over. So 5.432. Let's remember that number. Let's open up the sheet. Why don't we update the sheet right now? 5.432. So we could go to Malik Collins' deal here. 8.47 minus 5.432. Look at the top. You see where it says 24.32 million. That's about to increase to 29.75 million. So 29.8 million. So the Malik Collins restructure. Did I just think I think I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Let me redo that. The Malik Collins restructure lowers his cap hit to $3.04 million. 49ers have about $30 million of space, which will carry over whatever of that is not used. Trent Williams deal, I think, will open up even more space. I would predict maybe it opens up $10 million this year. So I would predict the 49ers are in line to carry over about $40 million of salary cap space into 2025. Do I think that Trent will have a drop-off in performance because of age? Well, at some point he will. He hasn't yet, which is amazing to me. At some point he will, which is why the 49ers had to be really delicate with this negotiation, because he's 36. There's nobody that can defy Father Time forever. That being said, Trent Williams is unique. And this is a guy that's over 320 pounds that could just hop over hurdles like it's nothing. So he's done things that we've never seen before, I think, in NFL history with his size, athleticism combination. And that's why I don't bet against him to be able to hold on until he's 40, playing at a really high level. But at some point, everybody does see a decline. Somebody said, he's not the best player in the NFL. Take it easy. Patrick Mahomes exists. Patrick Mahomes plays a completely different position than Trent Williams. So you're inherently comparing apples and oranges. You could say that Patrick Mahomes and Trent Williams are the 2 best players in the NFL, and there's nothing that you could factually take to discredit that statement. That's the glory of football, is that you have guys who are essentially playing different sports as far as what the skill and the training takes for their respective positions. Left tackle couldn't be any more different than quarterback. So they're essentially playing different sports, yet they're all working collectively on the field to accomplish one goal. So, yeah, I could say Trent Williams is the best player in football. I could say Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football. There's nothing you could do to disprove that. You could, if you want to say something that could be proven or disproven, break it down by position. You could say, okay, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. Trent Williams is the best left tackle in football. I could look at numbers for that. But it's totally fair to say that Williams is the best player in football because he's playing a position that's extremely important and he's doing it at the highest level at that position. It's not going to be disproven. So I think that when you say something like this, like the comment at the bottom of the screen, it's like, great, you said that, but you can't disprove the fact that Williams might be the best player in football because the positions are so different. All right, one more question and I got to go. This is a good point. Trent Williams is a Hall of Famer already. Mahomes is on the way, but Patrick Mahomes is still much earlier in his career. Both from Texas. Shout out to Texas. Trent Williams, though, back to the Bay Area. He has agreed to a new deal with the 49ers. It's not finalized yet, but he's agreed to it. I think the holdout is over. McCaffrey will return today. We'll wait for the structure of this Trent Williams contract to see if the 49ers have indeed hit a win-win. Trent Williams in that nighttime drama. How about that? 3 years ago, we were sitting here on Instagram at midnight, and we were looking at this, the flurry of a night. And now, well, it started with this. Year 15, let's get it from Trent Williams, and it's moved on to this. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to everybody soon.